Okay, so three main types of factoring. We're not talking about sum and difference of cubes with this one. So first is GCF factoring. GCF stands for greatest common factor. It is simply just pulling out whatever they have in common. So for this first one, I'd be pulling out a 5, which will leave me with x plus 5 left inside. For this next one, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the negative. I've also got a 5 in common, and I have an x squared in common. So I'm going to pull all of that out, which will leave me with an x and a plus 3. Okay. Then we've got factoring trinomials. Okay, so I am looking on this one for two numbers that multiply to negative 56 and add to 1. So in this case, that would be a positive 8 and a negative 7. So that means I have x plus 8 and I have x minus 7. On this one, I'm going to pull out a GCF, what we just did up above, which would leave me, since I'm pulling a 2 out, with an x squared plus x minus 56, which is exactly the same thing as the first example on this factoring trinomials. Okay, so then after that, I once again start looking for two numbers that would multiply to negative 56 and add to 1. We already know what those are. That's 8 and negative 7. So my final answer would be a 2, an x plus 8, and an x minus 7. On this last one, I've got an a value, but I can't pull it out because everything doesn't divide by 3. So 3 times negative 14 is going to be a negative, and it's also going to be 42. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 42 but add to negative 1. That would be a negative 7 and a positive 6. So I've got an x minus 7 and I've got an x plus 6. I'm going to divide each of these by 3, and that means that I would have a 3x minus 7 and then an x plus 2. Last of the three types would be factoring by grouping. So I'm going to group my first two terms, group my last two terms. In my first one, I could pull an x squared out with GCF factoring, leaving me with 2x plus 3. In my second one, I could pull out a 3, leaving me with a 2x plus 3. Since these are both the same, that means I have 2x plus 3 as one of my factors, and then I've got x squared plus 3 as my other factor. Then for the last one here, group the first two, group the last two. For the first one, I'm going to pull out a negative 3. Don't know why I wrote a 5. That would leave me with 5. I'm also going to pull out an x squared. That would leave me with 5x plus 3. My second one, I'm just going to be pulling out a positive 1 because I don't see anything in common with those, leaving me with another 5x plus 3. So I have a 5x plus 3, and I have a negative 3x squared plus 1. And that would be my answer for this.